Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. Only one I say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. Only one I say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let I be me instead of playing games. For chasing fame, let somebody sweat the lack of flames. No, living my life to the fullest and shout out my halala to the fullest. Let my lungs out. I'm still rising up to greater heights as long as
Hello, Bonjour and Bonani. Welcome to Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. It is so significant to have a positive mindset, more especially under these circumstances, under this pandemic. So this network has the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. My name is Dr. Riel Nkunene, and I'm going to be your host for today. So if you're watching us online, please feel free to share in the chat box where you're watching us from and what you hope to achieve from our podcast. Today, we are surrounded by greatness in the World Wide Web. We have amazing speakers who's gonna share some nuggets on financial literacy, like why lest we forget? I know today it's Remembrance Day here, so why lest we forget financial literacy? So in California, we have Candy Mercer. In Calgary, we have Kennedy Gates. And here, once again, in Alberta, we have Frank Guenya. And in New York, we were gonna have Jonas Gonzalez, unfortunately couldn't make it. And in Michigan, we have Mercy Grossman. So at this moment, I'll just let our speakers to introduce themselves. You can go ahead, Candy.
Good morning. My name is Candy, and I'm president of Affordable Bookkeeping and Payroll Services. So I work with entrepreneurs in most cases. I do have a few individuals on the business side that I do help also with their bill payments and financial literacy, as we'll be talking today. And so I'm going to share some tips with you today. I'm excited to share to help you be successful.
Wow, it's such a great honor to have you on this platform, Candy, and I'm looking forward to hear more of your message. You can go ahead, Kennedy, and introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you. Like you said, my name is Kennedy Gates, the same name I use on all my social media platforms. I like to say I'm a mindset enthusiast. I like to research and study things about humans and how they think and how the mind works. I'm a business owner. I own multiple businesses. Sometimes I don't know how to identify myself, but I own a home care business. We provide care to seniors and disabled people in their homes. Previously, I was a nurse and started this business about 7 years ago. We currently are in 3 cities in Calgary, in Alberta, in Canada, and looking forward to expand. I'm a business consultant. I've been training people to do the same thing that I do. I believe in abundance. I believe that I can teach people to do the same thing and we can all succeed. So I provide business consultancy in home care startup, as well as other businesses and mindset in general. I'm an investor. I invest in real estate. Been doing this for quite some time now. So yeah, you can call me a landlord. I've got a few properties and I do that. I'm happy to provide living space for Canadians and in a way that makes them reach their goals in life. So basically that's me. I'm passionate about teaching financial literacy now. I created the Rise and Shine movement. So it's been something that I've worked on so many years. I believe personally in the saying that if you give a man fish, he will be hungry tomorrow. If you teach him how to fish, he will be richer forever. That's why I'm so into financial literacy now and teaching people a change in mindset and financial literacy. Thank you.
Wow, it's such a great honor to have you, Kennedy, and for sure you are just changing the world. I'm looking forward to hear more of your message. Thank you. If you can hear me, Frank, go ahead and introduce yourself, please. If not, we will move to Michigan. You can go ahead and introduce yourself, Mercy.
Hi. Whoa. Oh, there we go. Hi, from Michigan. I am Marcy. I am a longtime CPA, and I am now a financial literacy educator. You might find me all over the internet as Money Marcy. I am focusing on financial literacy education, working with other financial professionals so that I can help them move their clientele further so they can provide their services to people that understand more of the financial landscape and the decisions they'll be called upon to make. I am focused for the most part on US financial literacy because, of course, those would be the laws I know, but I have been privileged to speak via Zoom around the world and work with many professionals and individuals on focusing on how to get that financial literacy to people so they can make better decisions to move themselves forward.
Wow, wow, it's such a great honor to have you, Mercy. And yeah, I can see your passion already. I can see your passion. I'm looking forward to hear more of your message. So Candy, I have a question for you. If you happen to have your own billboard, I can see your billboard coming down there in the busy highway in California or in Tennessee. I don't know where your billboard will be. What will your billboard say?
I would say, don't bury your head in the sand, pay attention to your finances, because a lot of people just like set up auto pay and, just let the bank handle things and they write their checks, but they don't pay attention to the balances. Surprise, you may run out of money if you're not really paying attention. On the other side of that too, I actually had an experience once where my electric company actually charged me 10 times as much as they were supposed to because they misplaced that decimal on when the person read, the meter. And if I wasn't paying attention, I would have lost that much money, so thankfully I was able to go back to them. Of course, they just said, well, we'll credit you over the next, 10 months. But anyway, just really watch what's happening with your finances. Don't just assume technology is handling it.
Wow, wow. Don't bury your head in the sand and do what?
Just don't let things just happen automatically. Pay attention, to what is really occurring.
I love it. I love it. I really love it. Wow, wow. How about you, Kennedy? Maybe your billboard is already down here in the city of Calgary. I don't know. Maybe is it going to be here or around the world? What will your billboard say?
Yeah, just like rise and shine is so common, and that's what I use for my slogan. People have used it from ages, and that's my main slogan. My billboard would be something that is so common too, and that would be, the truth shall set you free.
Wow.
I mean, we've heard that a million times, but I'm coming to the realization that once you know the truth about something, you become free in that domain. The truth about finances will set you financially free. The truth about human interaction will set you emotionally free. The truth about health will set you free in terms of having good health. So I feel like any domain in life where you have not sought that truth and known that truth, you will always struggle. So I always say this, if you find yourself struggling in any aspect in life, seek for more truth. Maybe there's something that you're missing. So yes, I would say the truth shall set you free. There's this whole thing about freedom for people who believe in God. Jesus mentioned it, the truth has set you free. So there's something about freedom, spiritually, emotionally, financially, health-wise. That freedom is the ultimate goal a human should aim at, I think.
The truth shall set you free, and that's for sure. It will set you free. I love it. I love it. I love it. How about you, Mercy? What will your billboard say? Maybe it's already down there in Michigan. I don't know. What will it say?
Well, it says, learn about money. It makes sense.
Learn about money. It makes sense. I love it. I actually love all of the billboards, really. I love them. So I believe mine will be like the fifth billboard driving down the highway, and it's going to say what? The sky is no longer the limit. The sky is now our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. And guess what? It's definitely coming. So we're going to get started. We have Candy Mercer. Candy Mercer is a profitability advisor working with entrepreneurs to help them have successful businesses. Experienced in bookkeeping since 1998, Candy understands the stresses business owners face and offers customized services to meet their varying needs. So her company energizes entrepreneurs by removing the burden of compliance tasks, as well as identifying issues, preventing higher profitability. So as a result of using her services, clients have peace of mind and the freedom to do what they love. So Candy is a co-author of Business Success with Ease and Navigating Entrepreneurship. And she's also the host of the Biz Help for You podcast, which can be found on YouTube as well as multiple podcast channels. So Candy has been married since 1992 to her husband, Garth, and they have a son, daughter, son-in-law, and 2 grandsons. So when not running her company, Candy enjoys reading, crocheting, logic puzzles, and spending time with friends and family. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Candy Mercer.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. And like you mentioned in my bio, I do have a company working with entrepreneurs. But what happens on the personal level also affects the business, because of, if you're hurting personally, you might be hurting in the business realm as well. So I am going to talk a little bit more today on the personal side of things. And if anyone has any other questions regarding business, we can definitely talk about that too. But some of the things that will impact your finances, one of the things really that's important is paying your bills on time, right? A lot of times we get so busy and we think things are going to be paid and we miss them, so if you don't pay on time, what happens? You end up with interest or, penalties. Your interest rates on credit cards can go up. There's a lot of things that can happen if you're not paying attention. So it's important to put reminders on your calendar or set up auto payments. A lot of vendors now will just auto debit your credit card or a bank account. So again, where I said earlier, don't put your head in the sand and just let automation take over. On the other side of it, though, it can make life easier to make sure things are paid on time and keeping track of what that schedule is. If you're concerned about money management, you're not sure you're going to have the cash on certain dates, then you want to be the one to schedule it and make sure that you're tracking that, again, with like a calendar app or something to remind you. My number 2 is keep your credit card use in check in terms of using it wisely. I do recommend using a credit card that has like rewards points that you can get cash back, and then you could use that to pay off credit card balances. It reduces what you actually have to pay out of pocket. So earn those rewards and then apply it back to your credit card statement. And if you don't have enough to make a purchase, try not to use that credit card at all. Obviously, if it's an emergency or a car breaks down, sometimes things happen. But a lot of times people make those impulse buys and later on you might regret it. You've got that credit card bill that comes and you're like, so if you could put off a payment, think about it even for a day or 2 before you make that purchase. If you really need it, then that's okay. You can go back and, make that purchase, but keep in mind what you have available to pay that bill down so that you don't have a balance due at the end of the month. You can basically have that use of the funds interest-free for that period of time till your bill is due. And then if you find yourself spending more with your credit card, often, you can spend, I saw a statistic that said people spend usually 20% more when they're using a credit card than cash, then switch to cash. I know it's not as easy and people like to be able to just pull out that debit or credit card, but it will make you focus on what you're spending. So switch if you need to maintain your budget. And that's actually important to create a budget. And then understand when you're shopping that the least expensive price isn't really always the best price. This is really important too, like if you're grocery shopping or things like that too, look at the total value of what you're getting. So I taught my kids one time too, you take the number of ounces into the price and how much are you paying per ounce, and then showed them that sometimes a larger jar of something was actually less expensive. And so one time I let them buy some ice cream. They were like, can we go to the store? And they came back with 5-quart bucket. And they're like, but mom, it was the best value, right? So I couldn't argue with them because they used what I taught them and they applied it. And so really looking at what is the actual cost of what you're buying to determine the best price. And keep in mind that sometimes you're making an investment, so it may be expensive upfront, but it can last a really long time. For instance, I have Tupperware that I bought like 30 years ago. So when you compare the price of Tupperware to like Rubbermaid or something you can buy at a discount store, it was much more expensive. But those other pieces that I had bought before I could purchase the Tupperware when I first got married, those broke very quickly. So really look at the investment of how long you'll be able to use the product and the life of that product that you'll be able to use and figure out what that long time value really is. And then another thing I want to talk about is understanding your credit score. What impacts your credit score? How can you improve your credit score? Right. So the first thing is pay all your bills on time. We talked about the credit cards again, and even if you can't pay in full, make that monthly payment at least the minimum. So at least you're showing consistent payment history. But ideally, you're keeping your credit usage under 30% of your total credit per card. So if you need to have more than one card, so you're not over, that 30% usage, because that impacts the more that you're using a specific card over that 30%, it will negatively impact what your credit score is. And then a lot of people think like, I haven't been using a card for a little while, I'm going to close that account. But if you close an account, especially if you've had it for a really long time, you actually lose the number of years of history that you have and the credit available. So it drops the total credit available as well as your average length of time for your credit history, which will also drop your score. And if you want your score to improve, if you're going to be getting a loan or something like that, don't open any new credit cards for at least 6 months because that also drops your score because they're looking at your account and every time someone does that, it drops it a little bit. But also getting a new card reduces the average amount of time that you have had your credit history. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to reach me if you have other questions for business or things like that too. So I'm going to change my name in the little Zoom here too, and I'm just going to put our website, which is www.abandp.com. And also, as was mentioned in my bio, I do have a podcast called Biz Help for You. I do have 2 episodes a week currently that have all kinds of tips. It's not just business tips, but there are some individual tips there as well. You can find that by my name, Candy Messer, or the hashtag Biz Help for You. And feel free to suggest topics if you would find something helpful. I would love to be able to answer those questions for you. So thank you very much.
Wow, Candy, you've just dropped every nugget on credit score. You've mentioned that you'll have to pay your bills on time. Pay your bills on time to avoid interest. And you've mentioned that even if you don't pay it in full, but try to pay it on time and use your credit card wisely and mainly only on emergencies. That's the reason why a credit card is there. And you've also mentioned that we'll have to understand that the least expensive that we see, it might not always be the best price. And you continued to say, you've shared every nugget on your credit score. Thank you so much, Candy, for sharing such a profound, much needed message around around credit score, really. Sorry, around credit score. It's much needed to understand how to build your credit. Like you've mentioned that maybe if you had an account that has been existing for quite some time and then you ended up paying it in full, don't close that line because it will drop your credit score. That's something new. Thank you so much, Candy, for sharing.
Sure. I forgot to mention a freebie that I do have. So if anyone is interested, you can go to my website. It's basically affordablebookkeepingandpayroll.com with the little / free and then - report. So affordablebookkeepingandpayroll.com - free report. So, or you could go to my website. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me as well. I'd be happy to send that to you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'm also looking at our audience online as well. So if they can just go out there, get your freebie. You know, freebie changes the world without spending even a penny on that. So go out there and get Candy's freebie, because
It's a guide to financial lingo.
a guide to
Financial lingo. So it explains a lot of the terms. A lot of people don't understand what everything means. So I
yeah.
explain those terms, and also for business, explain the difference between cash flow, profit, things like that. So it would be a really helpful tool.
So go out there, good people, get that financial lingo. It's life-changing. You need this, because really financial literacy should be taught in schools as young as a 6-year-old to understand like budgeting, credit score as young as they are. So thank you so much, Candy, for sharing such a profound, much needed message. Thank you. So now we are moving to Calgary, where we have Kennedy Gates. Kennedy Gates is a mindset enthusiast, business owner, business consultant, and a real estate investor. Kennedy immigrated to Canada 9 years ago and spent most of his early years researching what it takes to realize the American dream that every immigrant aspires. So after finding what it takes to be financially successful in North America, more especially, Kennedy made a commitment to test this knowledge himself. So after becoming financial free and building wealth for himself, Kennedy is very passionate about sharing this knowledge to as many immigrants as possible. So Kennedy believes in the saying that says, if you give a man a fish, he will be hungry tomorrow. But if you teach a man to fish, he will be richer forever. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Kennedy Gates.
Yeah, drum roll. Yay. Yeah, so yeah, I could talk about these things, financial literacy, all day, but today we're not going to talk a lot about I'm not going to talk more about financial literacy per se. I like every topic when it comes to money. I was just being so interested in listening to the first speaker talk about credit, building credit and all that, because it's a big thing in this country. It's a trap. If you don't know it, you will become a victim. There is no excuse. So I really like these topics that talk about debt, that talk about credit, that talk about budgeting, about managing money. I think money is a game. If you know the rules and play by the rules, you can make a lot of money. But if you don't know it, there is no excuse. You will be penalized for that. And so I'll be talking today about immigrants. And the reason is, why immigrants? And another question I ask is, who is not an immigrant? Because in reality, we came from somewhere, our parents came from somewhere, our great-grandparents came from somewhere and settled somewhere. When you trace human race and human races and how they migrated, almost everybody is an immigrant, except for the indigenous people, of course. So why immigrants? The reason I focus more on immigrants is because as an immigrant myself, I know that for somebody to have to leave what they call home and go somewhere else, it takes a lot of courage to do that. Giving away your environment, that place where you feel safe, and there should be something that is so powerful to detach you from that, to make you feel like, yes, I'm ready to leave. It's like a child leaving their parents, that place where you have love and comfort and everything, and they have to leave their home. So immigrants are people who go through that. Many people have not been to an embassy and have that immigration official say a final word on your visa, and you're standing there, you've given up everything, and if they say, nope, you don't have a visa, everything changes. So going through that, for me, makes immigrants a group of people that I admire a lot, people who've given up everything and go to this place to start life afresh. It's like you've deleted everything, you're going to a country, sometimes the culture is different, the language is different, the people are different, and you have to face all that. And there's only one thing that motivates the immigrant in most cases, that dream of building a better life than what they had back home. That's mostly what makes people to travel out. If they had good lives and everything, many people would travel for tourism just to experience other things, but immigrants go for a better life. And in my research, and that's what I did when I moved to Canada, I took time to study immigrant families. Are they really living the life? Are they really making it? And I noticed that most immigrant families barely made it through. I saw people who had been in new countries for over 20, 30 years and were still living like they just arrived. Some actually had lives that were worse than where they came from. Worse in the sense that everything could look good, but deep inside, were they satisfied? Were they proud of themselves? Were they on a path to success? To me, success is pursuing what you really want to and following a path. I don't care what it is. It's not about the amount of money you make, but did they feel successful? Were their dreams achieved? So by doing all that research, I decided to embark on a journey. And that journey proved to me successful in a way that I had to test everything I learned. And I set a goal for myself. I'm like, I'm going to test this thing. I'm going to see how this thing works. I've learned a lot about mindset. I've learned a lot about spirituality. I've learned a lot about money, financial literacy. If I test this and it works, I will teach it out to people. I gave myself a target. I wasn't at the point of making assumption. I'm like, I want to be scientific. This is what I want to study and see if this thing works. So that's why today I focus more on financial literacy. I could just focus on my home care business and real estate, but I really know that if you can just, the difference between somebody who's poor and struggling financially and somebody who has all the wealth, it's just this thing up here, that mind, that knowledge that you don't have. And that comes back to my first, the phrase on the billboard that said, the truth shall set you free. If you know the truth about money, you will become free financially. You will have the money that you want. It might not be a dollar figure, but what's good for you. And now coming back to immigrants, I think immigrants, from many people that I've seen, I like to share this. This is not reference from an author or something. I created this diagram based on how I studied immigrants and how they go along, because I saw immigrants going through a cycle, and which sometimes to me can end up like a struggle. When I want to be very sarcastic, I call it a slavery cycle, because I think that if you're doing something that you don't want to do and you have to do it, it could be seen as slavery. If you go on a job and you really love your job and you want to do it, that's you serving humanity. But if you hate that job and you have to do it just for the little money that you make, that's not work. So I brought up this cycle that simply shows how a majority of immigrants end up winding in cycles, and that cycle simply passes to their children and their children's children. I always have this frank saying, and sometimes I feel a little racist because I can say that because I'm an immigrant, but if somebody else said it, they would be maybe crucified. But I always say that if you were poor in your home country and you traveled abroad and still end up poor, the problem is not the country. It's probably you, right? Because we've seen people always accuse the government, accuse their countries, accuse stuff. But so I always say, if you were broke in your home country, traveled abroad and still end up broke, the problem probably is not the country. It's probably you. I know I'm not saying that a good government, a good country will not lay the foundation for easier success, but the biggest part of the work is in the individual. If the individual is not enlightened, does not have financial truths, financial knowledge, and understands how life works, they will be poor regardless of where they live. So I brought this cycle up. I'm going to share the screen here. I call it the immigrant cycle. It's a little sensitive, so I'm just hoping people don't get offended. So most immigrants, it starts here where we have a newcomer that comes in, and this is exactly what I did. I mean, I started from there. Most immigrants usually have a host family, somebody that receives them and maybe host them for a couple of days, weeks, or maybe months while they try to settle in, while they get their immigration documents, they get their ID, and then move to renting. So I find a new immigrant who comes here. And when that immigrant lands, the first thing is always to get a job. No matter what kind of job, that's what the goal is always. I remember being in a home where I was given a resume, because coming from that side, the way people write resumes here is completely different. Somebody had to teach me how to write a resume. We have newcomers center that teach immigrants how to write these resumes, how to get jobs. And at that point, it's usually not about a career job. It's any job that can put food on the table. Personally, I did landscaping. I worked in a moving company. I did construction. I did all that. And these jobs usually, so when that person comes in and needs a job, he or that person lives with a host and opens a bank account, usually they are given a credit card immediately. For some reason, the banking system pushes credit cards faster on immigrants, although they have no credit history, because when somebody comes from a country, you don't know them. But as soon as they land here in 2 weeks, they're given a credit card. And usually that credit card is celebrated by that immigrant, because most of us did not have credit cards where we came from. Yeah, you get a credit card in the mail 2 weeks after you open your bank account, and you call your friends back and like, bro, I just got my new credit card and it's $1,000, all right? And the information that is given by the bank or the bank manager at that point is usually not very detailed. It's like, well, you have to pay your minimum or pay your balance. If you cannot pay your balance, at least make the minimum payment. And that usually is the message that most people get. And now they get that first credit card and they get that job. That first job, most people, is a degrading job. I've seen engineers work as personal support workers. I've seen medical doctors do cleaning jobs. They work in landscaping. So that steep decline, usually it's mentally disturbing for most immigrants. They go around like people, but they feel dead inside. And so when they get that degrading job, the idea is they start struggling because your mind wants to catch up. Your dignity has been compromised. So they start looking for ways on how to raise themselves up so they can be proud of who they are. Back home, we used to have this saying that you don't ask somebody abroad what they do for a living, because most people, those jobs are usually jobs they cannot be proud of. And then it comes to, they get ideas from older immigrants. And when I mean older immigrants, I mean people who've been there for a longer time. So you go to your friends from your country, you ask, how can I succeed in this country? What can I do? And tries to find a way out. And usually the idea is like, go back to school, learn this thing, study this program. It's going to give you a good job. Go do nursing, go do engineering, power engineering, go to these trade school and do these programs. Because the whole idea at that point is they look for programs that will give them a job faster and probably a better paying job. The idea of satisfaction, of fulfillment, of what I truly love, what I want to connect with, that is not on the table. It's about what program can I do so that when I finish school, I get a good job and a fast job and probably a better paying job. And to me, that as a criteria for working, it's already a beginning of failure, because you're not going to something because you're connected. It's not connected to your talent, to your natural ability. It's not connected with love. You're doing it basically for money and for putting food on the table, which can be a temporary thing to do at some point. And when that doesn't work, yeah, they go back to school. And when they go to school, we all know the school system here. School loans are available readily to most people, better than bank loans. If I were to go to a bank today with a business plan, it would be so hard for me to get a loan of $80,000. But if I sign up for a school program, I get $80,000 school loan immediately. So they get that, they go to school, get the first student loan, and that credit card that was in the mail is still there. And while people are in school, life is usually easier because your school loans and grants can pay your tuition, can pay your house rent, can provide some living expenses and cover those things. So school life is usually not that bad. And at that time, because they know they're going to graduate and get a good job, they can go into their credit cards and use some things, or if they're lucky enough to get a credit line. So at that point, I see a student loan here and a credit card. Now there's graduation. We have beautiful pictures on social media. We congratulate you for graduating. Now you're ready for the job world. And then we know how the system here is built. We need cars here. The public transportation system here, especially with the weather in Canada, you really need a car. And when you graduate from that school, you're sure that you're going to get a job. If you graduate from a good career, the car dealer is ready to give you a car. And then you just sign a piece of paper and you drive that car home. So at that point, they have a car payment, they have a student loan and a credit card. But life is optimistic because they know that with what they just graduated from, they're going to get a full-time job and they will pay off all that. So then he or she gets a new job here. And when you get that new job, in most cases, when people travel here, they get to a certain point in life where they're married or they have kids. That small basement, that small apartment starts feeling uncomfortable. You start feeling like you need a better place to stay. Now I've got a good job. I need a better place. Let's get a house. Oh yeah, the mortgage brokers and the real estate agents are all over the place. They're ready to show you those properties and houses, and they will help you qualify for the mortgage. So at that point, you get a house because now you got a good job. You can pay all that. Financially, you think you're covered. And so that person has a car payment, credit card, student loan, and a mortgage. And at that level, I decided to put this categorically, although it's not, it's not good to generalize, but if you are over 40 as an immigrant and you have these 4 debts in place at the same time, if you don't change your game, if you don't learn financial literacy, if you don't redesign your life properly, you probably have just crucified yourself. And that's why I put this picture here that is very insensitive of somebody who's about to hang themselves, because this is a system, this is an economy where you can literally hang yourself without realizing it. Now you get into this cycle where you'll work for the rest of your life, paying bills, working jobs that you don't like, just to meet up with the things that you've set yourself up in. So at this point, you really need that financial, you need somebody to readjust your path. I always say it, what you knew got you into that situation, and it will not get you where you want to go. You need some new knowledge. You need somebody to help you at that point. That's where financial literacy comes in. That's where redesigning your life comes in. The reason I put 40 here is because if you are 40 and you have a new mortgage, that mortgages in Canada, probably in the US, take about 25 to 30 years. And if you add 25 to 30 years on your 40, you're 65, you're 70, that's retirement. And you look back and what have I done? Have I worked all my life for that one property I have to live in? Did I have to pay this price to live in a house, one house? So I feel like for people who sacrificed everything to travel abroad and live a new life, and just to end up paying off one house and that's it for their life, no purpose, no other achievement, I think it's a huge price to pay. I think we can do better just by understanding the system. And at that point, when kids are in the picture, kids usually absorb what their parents do. Kids will follow the same cycle. And that's why I have kids here, and then they're initiated into the cycle, because at that point, you will not be able to pay your kids university. They will take a student loan to go to university. They will take credit cards, because if you're a parent and you're not financially literate, you cannot teach your kids financial literacy. They will follow what you are doing, and then they get caught into that cycle. So we get a cycle of immigrants going up and down. I mean, going to a cycle that they don't know how to exit. So my point here, my help would be to help people exit this cycle at any point where they are. Of course, if you are already here around 40 and have these debt, it's a bigger work to do to exit you from there. It takes a lot of strategy. If you're a new immigrant from here, we can avoid you from getting trapped there and have to work hard to come out of that cycle. So that's just a summary of what I wanted to present today. And it's part of the bigger picture of the Rise and Shine educational system that I'm doing now to just teach people. Like I say, when I say immigrant, it's literally all people, because technically we are all immigrants. Thank you. Did that make sense? Did I go over time?
Wow, Kennedy. Like I like the immigrant cycle, really, because it's like I'm just telling my story. I've been through this, I've done that, and now here we are. I love it. I love it. And really your experience, your knowledge on changing this world, one soul at a time, it's mind-blowing. So thank you so much for sharing such a profound message, and it's so detailed. The way you've just put that cycle, this is where you start, this is how you can set yourself free before you just hang yourself up there. It's much needed. It's much needed. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for such a profound message, Kennedy. I can see our audience online. They are watching. They've been moved. I can see him, Duduzi, Zoza watching, and the Princess is saying, I love how you've painted a good picture of the immigrant cycle. Exactly. I just love it. And Mariah, she's saying that money matters. So our audience have been really moved. Our audience have been inspired by all these messages. And I believe more and more nuggets will be life-changing in their lives. So our audience online, please feel free. If you happen to have any questions for Candy, if you happen to have any questions for Kennedy, please just drop the questions in the chat box and we're going to attend to your questions at the end of the podcast. Thank you so much, Kennedy. Thank you. So now we're moving to Frank Gonya. I believe he has just landed in Canada from South Africa. He might be jet lagged, but he's here. He's here. So Frank Gonya is a successful, multi-talented entrepreneur, author, global itinerant business and ministry speaker. He is an apostolic voice to the nations and is currently traveling across the globe, ministering in churches, business empowerment, revivals, youth conferences, and pastors, as well as leadership seminars. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Frank Ngwenya.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, thank you very much. I've been listening behind the scenes. Really apologies for this small little technical thing. As I just arrived, a lot of people have been waiting for me. Some deliveries that needed me to handle them in the hand. So one of them came just 5 minutes before we before we started. So I had to be outside to make sure that I pick it up quickly. Thank you so much. I've been listening from the beginning, really touched by especially the credit part, as well as what Mr. Kennedy, my good friend, has really shared also. Thank you very much. Mine is just basically going to be really in entrepreneurship as my space of where I work at. And coincidentally, it's something that I learned on the job. No one taught me entrepreneurship. It's, those things that you stumble on because you had a vision, you love something, but you end up really stumbling on it. And now looking back in hindsight, I would say 17 years later, you start realizing that one has to start thinking, wherever I'm thinking of hiring or hiring people to work for me, I no longer look for people that are only going to be one-dimensional people. I'm looking for people that are going to be able to turn and become something else, so that we grow the business. If you come to me, we have to hire you. You say, yes, I can do this, because where I'm from, maybe my good sister will realize that where I'm from, we've got people that tell you that this is not my job description, So I realized that in time and years that went by, I realized that if you start hiring people that only do one thing, because I'm so busy, I travel to so many different countries. So before COVID, I was telling my colleagues in one conference that I was at last week that at my peak before COVID, I was doing 20 international flights per year. So that's quite a lot. So I'm not able to really hire a person that's just going to be one thing. So you have to be 10 and become so many different things, because you might call me, I'm sleeping, I'm on the other continent, So this has been one of the things that I've been meditating upon. But I don't have a lot to say, but I'll just really talk about myself and few little bit of one or two pointers here and there that I believe will encourage one or two people. As the host has said, my name is Frank. I'm a father of 3, 2 of my own children and 1 adopted son, who's now, believe it or not, 17 years old. We took this boy when he was 1 year old when I met my wife 16 years ago. I look young, but yeah, so the circumstance made me to get married at an early age. So, I got married, I think I was around 21, if I'm mistaken, 21, 22, around about there. So, so now we are blessed with 2 children and as I said, 1 adopted son. My wife will be soon joining me in Canada next year. Because we still got some businesses back in South Africa. We need both countries. I'm a property developer as well as a restaurateur, as the host has said. So we need both countries. So my story starts. My father dies 1994. All hell broke loose. We are in Africa, South Africa. My father was an engineer traveling around the world. Then just all hell broke loose immediately. I'll say a year or 2 later, everything just froze. No money, no food, nothing. And I'm the youngest. Now I'm 14, 15. Years later, I'm 14, 15 after that death. Then I taken upon myself, guys, let me move to the CBD. Let me leave the township. We call them townships where we're from. The poorer areas or your village. I moved to Johannesburg CBD. I become slightly homeless for about 4 weeks. Then after that, because I had always had this entrepreneurship thing going in me, then I said, okay, I'm gonna do something about myself. I'm not gonna really stand and do nothing, really. Then I start selling whatever I can sell, there in the Johannesburg CBD, then started selling I didn't make any profit at all because I didn't know what I was doing. Then I started sleeping in a pool table area, like a bar. So in that bar, you know, I was sleeping there between later around downtown. Then at night around 12, I start going to play. I don't drink, but these guys are drinking, they're playing pool. A week later, I play so well that they started liking me. These guys that are drunk, they're like, "Whoa, we love this guy. Wow, you beat all of us," you know. So I had to beat all of them. Then little did I know the manager of that bar building, and there's some, "Oh, okay, we always see you here. Where do you stay?" I said, "No, I don't have a space to stay. I just sleep in this pool area, you know, at night, and in the morning I just, you know, move around and start selling." Then he said, "Okay, we've got a space for you." They put me somewhere. Long story short, you know, someone comes and says, "Oh, I've got a room upstairs. You can come stay with us." Long story short again, then I started looking for work because the business entrepreneurship thing that I was trying to do didn't work. So now I'm left with this thing where I need food. Now, the small little money that I came with was about to run out. Then someone tells me they are hiring at a restaurant somewhere. Then I go there. I start from the ground, literally from the ground, picking up papers, cleaning, washing dishes, everything, you know. Then the other thing that I want to teach the entrepreneurs or share with the entrepreneurs or encourage them is to, whatever you do, Kennedy mentioned that when we come to Canada or when some professionals come, they do some weird jobs that they will never back home do, you know, because of the circumstance. So I will say to the entrepreneurs, when you do those weird jobs, do them to the best of your ability. Do them so well so that someone else can notice. I'll tell you why I say that. I did it so well, even my washing of dishes, people could notice that this guy is in pace, you know, he's going, he's moving. Then I was promoted to be waiter, to go with the waiters, to go to the tables when they're opening wines and all those sorts of things. Then once I became a waiter, I did it quite well again. Then I became a head waiter 3-4 years later. I did it so well again as an individual worker at that space. In South Africa, I'm now 18 years old, 19, around about there. Then I'm serving tables and I'm doing it so well as well. And I'm doing it like no man's business, you know. And little did I know that there was a couple from England that were that I was serving, and they became regulars. They say, "I think we like your style. We've got an opportunity for you to go to the UK." You know, so it goes back to what I was saying, that as an entrepreneur, whatever you do it well, and who knows who's watching. Then off I go. They organize everything. I find myself in the UK. At 19, I'm in the 18 to 19, I'm in the UK. I start working in the restaurants. Then I build myself there. I worked for a company called JD Witherspoon. They were teaching us everything. I did it well too. Then they ended up promoting me to manager. They ended up promoting me to regional manager as young as I was. Now they promoted me in such a way that you're able to go to Liverpool, for example. They are opening a new store. You start from scratch. You're building it up from scratch. You train staff there. You train chefs. Once it's done, they say, "Look, there's another one in Manchester." After that, so I gained a lot of experience through that. Then, but my focus was on entrepreneurship. My focus was to work for myself. My focus was business, you know. So I said, this is an opportunity for me to raise as much money as possibly I can, to be able to, because I still loved South Africa at the time. So I said, okay, I want to raise this money and go back to South Africa. I stayed in a room, you know, I was just alone. I didn't care much. The cheapest room in town, I made sure that I got there because the only thing I want was to raise money to start this property development business back in South Africa. A car that I was driving was the cheapest in the block. I didn't care. You know, credit card, I didn't even go to credit cards because I just wanted to raise money. I just wanted capital. Worked 3-4 years in the UK, doing nothing. I finally raised money, and I managed to accumulate some quite decent amount from not really a lot of money that we're getting paid there. Then an opportunity came for me to be able to buy property back in South Africa online while I'm in the UK. So while I was in the UK, I buy these properties. I say, I'm a youth leader at church. I do a conference, then I meet this young girl at the conference. Then I said, "Look, I want to marry you and I'm going back home. When I go back home, look, we're gonna be rich. What have you done in the UK?" He said, "No, I've raised maybe 15,000 pounds. Give it to me." Give that money to me. I've got as young as I am, naive, not knowing what to do. Give me that money. We gotta be rich. Trust me for that. A young 21-year-old girl said, okay, I'll trust you. Took all the money, resigned, was managing conference centers there. Gave me the money. We went back to South Africa. I bought 5 properties in South Africa from bank repossessions. And lucky enough, they were about, in today's terms, about 1 million rands there. So that's about $100,000 here in Canada. So the bank managed to finance me the half, then I managed to put the half down. Then we said, bye-bye. We kissed the UK goodbye. We say, thank you very much for the skills. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you very much for the schooling, because I was also studying my business skills while I was there. We're going back now. As soon as we went back home, we didn't know what we were doing. We don't know nothing about entrepreneurship, nothing about anything to do with business. Remember, I was working, being guided, even as a manager. I was just a manager. You know, you are given this task, you know, to do this, you do that. So I didn't know anything about business. We go there. A year later, the bank says, let's just have a look at this situation. I think we've got a problem here. This young man is now struggling to pay. Then they came, they took all the properties, everything. So now we're back to square one. No money, nothing. We left our jobs. You know, now we have to start from scratch. So now that was the challenge for me, to start business from scratch. What do we have? We don't have the money. Whatever we had in our hands was only the skill in the restaurant business, as well as briefly in property. So we started from scratch. We had a 2-plate stove. Then we started from scratch there. What we did, we started cooking from that kitchen. Then from cooking from that kitchen, the corporate started noticing. Then it built. We ended up really building an empire. Now, where I want to really help the entrepreneurs on is, now we managed to work and accumulate and come back. You know, the bank don't want to anything to do with us. You know, one of the speakers was telling us about, you know, credit and how you spend it, and you need to spend 30, I think, make at least 35% if my memory is correct, and all that. For us, they were not even looking at us. When they see the name, they say, not this one, you know. So coincidentally, we managed to build this wealth cash. In other words, we managed to create strategies to be able to build our entrepreneurship journey cash without really the banks. Though we wanted to go to the banks, but really they didn't want to give us. Then we managed to build from our skill, doing it well, even when we were cooking some whatever scones or biscuits or catering for a corporate function, for ESCO meetings. We were doing it so well that the CEOs noticed, and they started giving us money to be able to build them these restaurants in their facilities. So where I'm going is to say, we did it so well. Then I started this business. Then it's grown. Then when we went to a situation where we are now grown, success started happening. We started receiving money. The millions were starting to come. We entered the property market. We started to build, you know, complexes. I developed these mini complexes where you've got here in North America, we call them maybe gated communities. So there, because we've got a bit of crime, so we've got these gated small little complexes where people stay. So we started building those. We started doing well, you know. And now there's money in the pocket. You've got some couple of millions. Now things are nice. Then success comes. Then our people start showing us other businesses. Then I go in, I said, okay, we've got money. Why not? We go and we entered into this business of oil transportation. Long story short, is another big story, but we're not going to go to that today. Then I lost on that business. I bought some trucks and tankers. Then I lost about, I would say, around $300,000-$400,000 on that business. So the lesson that I learned there is something that I normally tell. I don't jump this wherever I go to speak to entrepreneurs, to say success can also make you fail. So in other words, is that you've got success, you've got the money in the pocket. Now, if you're not careful with that success, you will spend that money on the wrong things. We moved from our main core business that brought us here, that made us successful. We lost almost everything because of the success. We took our focus, we moved. Not that I didn't do. Yes, we got the first generation contract. Yes, we've eventually managed to come back. I learned a lot on the fuel transportation. Being some clear that I'm in Calgary also, it's something that I will look into in the next few years to come. I know that business very well. That logistic, it taught me a lot. So I'm grateful for it. But at the same time, I wasted about 4 years of my entrepreneurial journey trying to rebuild. Now I'm here, I've built this wealth. Now, since then, I would say 7 years ago, that lesson really helped me to focus on what I'm good at. If I'm gonna do something, it has to really within my means or something that I've not to take the whole company's finances and put it there. So that's a lesson that I want to share with the entrepreneurs. So I jotted in conclusion, I jotted just 1 or 2 things that I wanted to share, really to speak to the entrepreneurs, to say, before you jump, because we've got people that are working, especially in this country, or maybe that are coming, they want to do, before they jump to start their businesses, they have to make sure that, number 1, learn to self-motivate. You need to be able to self-motivate as a person to say, I'm gonna do this, no matter what, even how small it is. You are really judged on what you do on the smaller side. One of the speakers said they want to see how you do your credit card, how you manage them. So they are checking those trends to see, so that they can have a better view of who you are. So that's very key for an entrepreneur to be able to self-motivate, especially when you are starting. No one is going to motivate you. You don't have a lot of people around you. Most of the people like to be around a person who's successful. So if you're not successful, it's very lonely. You are alone. A lot of people don't pick up your phones. Even if they pick up, it's like you are just a nuisance. Sorry if I mean that word is like, this guy. But once you become successful, then you have. So learn to be able, even during those moments, to be able to self-motivate yourself without anyone next to you. Say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. And number 2 is save. Obviously, save. Before you start going to the banks and really leveraging with the banks, it's good to at least save and start with the legally, then go forward. And then number 3, obviously it's a basic one. Learn how to make a sale. Really to be able to put down a sale. Because I'm a restaurant, we've opened, as I said yesterday, we've opened a lot of restaurants back in South Africa, and we even grown to franchising. But COVID happened, then we decided to say, okay, I sat down, I said, okay, let's just shut down about half of them and really close down, and let me go back, because I stayed in the UK, I've stayed in the US, but let me go to Canada and see what's going on. I'm a newcomer here. I think I'm a year and 5 months, if I'm not mistaken. So I came here, and when I was busy in Calgary, I had to approach one landlord here in one of the centers and malls and say, I see your place, but there's one thing missing. We are missing a South African barbecue here, and I'm the one who's gonna bring it. The landlord was impressed. Said, well, okay, I'm gonna create a space for you, so that will happen. That will be really awesome. So you are all invited. We're opening on the 17th of December. We are all invited to come and test our authentic South African barbecue. Mr. Kennedy, you are invited, say also. Yeah. So yes, learn how to make a sale. So I managed to make a sale to say, look, we can bring this in this country. We can introduce a South African barbecue. We see there's Indian food all over the place. We see there's Chinese, there's Vietnamese, there's all these cultures, but we don't have our South African or Southern African, or mostly Southern African food, that really can make it to these spaces. So I'll be the one to do that. So also number 4, networking. As an entrepreneur watching or listening, or you're gonna listen to this, to be able to network. Our networking, we went to all those places. That's where we managed to get to win some of those business at our initial seed stage. Also, if you're not familiar with the industry, you're able to work with another entrepreneur, be under them, be scrutinized, really be sent all over the place, so that at least you pick up and learn from there, and learn your strengths. So furthermore, I would say in conclusion, I would just quote the words or something that I really I came across that really touched me, and it was really profound. That was there was a study that was done by Bill Gross, the founder of Idea Lab. So he really was studying the startups, the success and the failure rates and all those sorts of things. So Bill Ross identified 5 things that make or startups really grow and make it in business. Number 1 was timing. Number 2, team. Number 3, idea. Number 4, business model. And number 5, funding. So even if we ask ourselves here amongst the 5 of us and say, which one is the top? We'll both have different ways. Maybe the first one will be funding, you know, but Bill Ross came across after this whole thing, and after seeing all these startups that are making it, all these entrepreneurs that are making it, most of them, it wasn't funding at all. It was not money at all, but it was the timing. So 42% timing came as the major. We can make an example like your Airbnb. Airbnb happened because what, you know, of what happened. We know Facebook happened because of what happened, and we don't have time for that. But the timing of them coming, those guys, they came in, they didn't have the money, they just had the app, and it came at the right time, and people just moved with it. So timing came at 42% of business or startup success. And then number 2 was the team. I was speaking in a conference just a few days ago. I just landed, as you said, 2 days. What came to me was that a team, you are not better than the staff you have. You can have all the money, you can have everything, but if you don't have the right team in place, they can finally make you lose the money. You know, but if you have the right team, you are able to, the right team will be able to go get the money. So now I'm in Canada, the dynamics is different. I'm opening this restaurant. We've got a lot of labor back home. Here, it doesn't work like that. In a restaurant where we had about 16, 17 people, now we're gonna have 2 or 3. So now the dynamic changes. The team is very important. Now the menu changes. It's not gonna be the same. The prep is gonna be different, and. So you are no better than the team you have. The staff is everything. Leadership rises and falls on the team. The major, biggest heart, the engine of any company in the world is the human resources department. That's the most powerful department. It's not the accounting department, but it's the human resources. Because once you get the good people, once the human resources department gets the right people in place, anything can be. And I even went on to say, you can get the same woman that you're struggling, sorry, my word, that you're struggling with right now. Someone else can get the same person, same woman, not change anything and win the game. Someone else can take the same business that is really, really struggling to make a profit on, you really, really struggling, and just win. Why? Because it's got the right team, it's got the right stuff. So number 2 was, it came 32% as the team. The idea, obviously the idea came 28%, and 24 was the business model. And finally, believe it or not, 14% was the funding of the success in all these entrepreneurs. So in closing, I would say the lessons that I learned when I really became successful, even here in Canada, is because I had, over the years, I've seen a lot of fake people coming over, and you know, you end up entering into partnerships with the wrong people and things bad happen. So the lessons that I learned after I made, I would say, my first million in brackets, is to say, I developed a skill to be able to read people, a signal to be able to read and study people and maybe to know, so that whoever I enter into business with, whoever I associate with, I'm able to read. Number 2 was to delegate. I'm able to delegate. I'm able to, like I was talking about the team, and be able to have people that are able to change and become something else. I'm so busy in such a way that I'm not able to just have a person who's just gonna do one thing and sit at the end. You know, and and number 3 is sharing my success. I know that my success helps the other family have food on the table, which is good. Number 4 is cash, the liquid cash. I realize that yes, it's good to have debt. Yes, it's good to have good credit. Yes, it's good to have all those things, but it's also good to make sure that you accumulate the real net worth, like proper liquid cash, if you can, because cash does something. It makes you make decisions. It's easy to plan accordingly when you have cash in the pocket. Yes, the bank can come and say, anyway, it's easy for a bank to work with you when you've got cash also, because it's easy to balance up. So, okay, we'll give you this. You are doing this development there. You are doing this mixed use complex there. But okay, what have you done? They want to see from you, then cash helps us make such decisions. And number 5, and lastly, is I am no longer following the norm. So I'm here in Canada. I'm going to do it my way. Whatever I find in front of me, I'm going to go for it. And thank you very much for listening. God bless you.
Wow, Frank, thank you so much for sharing such a profound message around entrepreneurship and, sharing your struggles, your failures that motivated you to be where you are today is just mind-blowing. You've mentioned that we should learn to be self-motivated, and we'll have to learn to save before we even go and knock to those banks like we need assistance. And you've also mentioned that we'll have to learn to make a sale. But number 1 that I took from this is networking, and more networking. You've mentioned timing, team building, and funding. Oh, I was just taking notes. You know what? I'm going to go back and watch the replay. But you know what? Thank you so much for sharing such a profound message. So in the interest of time, we're going to move to Mercy Grossman. She is ready. Mercy is a certified professional accountant, CPA, with over 30 years of experience in public and private accounting. One of the most fulfilling parts of her job was educating clients about what the numbers meant. So in 2021, she left the security of a day job to pursue her passion and wrote Money Mercy's Guide to Financial Literacy to focus her knowledge and efforts as a financial literacy educator and help people improve their relationship with money. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Mercy Grossman.
Thank you so much for having me here, and what an amazing group of speakers I'm following. So that's a little bit intimidating. The things I want to talk about are you've got to own your money, and owning your money means where you're spending it, where you're earning it. And it's important to know these things because you can't control what you don't know. If your money just comes in and it just goes out and, well, what the heck, I've got enough to pay this bill, then you're not necessarily able to build the wealth and to plan for the future and make the decisions for your next big step, whether it's as an individual or an entrepreneur, whether it's for your family or for your business, for your education or retirement. All of these things need a plan. And one of the best ways to build a plan is by building a budget and by building a forecast. And I find that the two of those are strongly related, because budgeting is what you think you're going to spend. And when you add it into a forecast, and especially a rolling forecast, you can see how what you're planning is moving forward as well as the reality. And you can keep tweaking the reality to meet or exceed your original plan. I'm going to throw in here that on my website, I do have available budgeting and forecasting worksheets available for free for download, because I think those are important tools that people need to be able to start moving forward. In fact, almost any time I'm talking about financial literacy, one of the most powerful tools we start with is the importance of budgeting and how to build a budget and build a forecast so you can make all these other decisions, how to pay down your credit, how to build your business, how to break a financial cycle. All of these things come from understanding the tools that you have to work with. Once you build a budget, then you want to focus on how do I live within my means and how do I live below my means? Because when you live below your means, that means you're prepared for the next step, whether it's a step forward or a step backwards, whether it's something you're planning for or something that happens outside of your plans. Again, the more you know, the more you understand those numbers, the more likely you are to be able to successfully move from whatever life throws at you. Because planning is great. Planning is awesome. I love planning. Plans don't always work quite the way you intended, and you've got to be able to adjust for that. Everything goes back to knowing those numbers and the time that you can start educating your children so that they can know those numbers. And living within your budget can happen as young as you are able to be earning an allowance or earning money for chores, because that's when you have $2, $5, $10, whatever it is, to buy whatever it is you're responsible for buying with that. Those lessons can begin when you're young enough to make your own decisions about money. And those lessons are more powerful when you make those mistakes about about how to spend your money, and you have that opportunity to grow and learn from your mistake. Learn it at $5 rather than at $5,000. But by having that opportunity to move forward with those mistakes. And it's hugely important to let your kids move forward and make those mistakes. It's hugely important to have those conversations with your kids. Yes, we're going to do this, or we're going to do this, but we have to save for it first. They don't need to know all of the specifics of your budget, but if you can bring them into an awareness that you're making decisions based on money, whether it's a decision, yes, we can do this today, or a decision, hey, we're going to have to put off doing this so we can put away the money and make a plan for it. Give them the level of detail that they can manage and associate with so that they can learn from that experience. Help them build a budget, help them understand what it means to live within your means and the consequences when you don't, and how to own their money and how to make those choices responsibly, because that's what gives them the opportunity to go from there. Financial literacy, learning how to make these decisions, learning how to make the choices, learning how to plan, learning how to pay off the debt, build your current wealth, build your retirement, build your generational wealth, and educate your children. All of this is available to you. It's a matter of opening up and having these conversations with people, and having these conversations with your partner and with your children, and helping them to get educated and learn how to move forward with these. I'm going to change my name. Now I got to figure out what I'd like to be when I grow up, and if I can type it correctly. This is my website, and on my website are links to my various social media, to my book, which I think is in reverse, but it's Money Marcy's Guide to Financial Literacy. Let's see that with my camera. And anytime you think you found the right site, you should see my logo with which is this brain, this head with this brain with money in it, so that you can think about your money and learn about your money. I am on TikTok, I am on Instagram, I have a Facebook group, I've got a website and a blog. I've got these links of useful tools for you to download. Obviously, I'm US based, so some of them are going to be more useful if you're in the US, but a budget worksheet is a budget worksheet, and a forecast worksheet works wherever you are. I've got a net worth worksheet. These are all things that are available to help you get a better understanding of your money so you can move forward and make the best choices and learn about your money.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mercy, for sharing such a profound message around budgeting. You've mentioned that we should own our money, and we'll have to live below, not within our means. Because if you live within those means, you might cross it, but just try and live below you know, I'm just taking all these nuggets that you've shared around budgeting, around money, around living below your own means into heart. So I'm going to come back and watch the replay over and over again. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mercy, for sharing such a profound, much needed message. Thank you. So to our audience online, please feel free if you happen to have any questions for Mercy, if you happen to have any questions for Frank, Kennedy, and Candy, please just drop your questions in the chat box and we'll come back and attend to your questions. So I'm going to be the next and final speaker because it's not a show without me showing up. So I'm going to share my bio and I'll come back and speak. So please enjoy. I want you, as you think about your dreams and goals, to put this down. Rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights, because you need to be clear about your career goals in order for you to gain guidance on professional development. Really, my goal as a mentor or as a coach is so simple. My goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs and other potential obstacles that you might be facing, and then design a plan of inspired action to empower you to pursue success and drive sustainable. I think whosoever said that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Riel and Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. Mom. So I think whosoever said that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Riel and Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights.
Dr. Nampumelelo Rial Kunene is an international human rights policy analyst who consults on policies and procedures related to human rights compliance. She is a highly sought-after, energetic, certified Lace Brown international speaker. This passionate leader holds a PhD with a discipline in leadership and business. Dr. Rial N. Kunene is the author and host to Rise to Greater Heights, a book and YouTube channel to turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. She is also a coach, mentor, and an MC, well known for encouraging many to rise from mediocrity into greatness. Her vision is not only to motivate, but also to empower audiences with a fresh perspective inspiration they require to pursue success and drive sustainable outcomes. In a seriously funny way, Dr. Kunene is an award-winning author, 10 times #1 Amazon and international best-selling author. Her #1 best-selling book, Rise to Greater Heights, has inspired and empowered many to pursue their personal and professional passion to become go-getters. As a trainer, diplomacy protocol officer, and strategist, Rial believes that we are in full control of our choices. Her mission is to meet the needs and transform lives of her clients and her audience. She is also a true advocate for creating new policies that uphold human rights and prevent human rights violations. Dr. Kunene's purpose is to teach everyone about human rights and help organizations understand and promote human rights. Her goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs, then design a plan of inspired action to empower you to achieve specific outcomes in your life. This change maker, trailblazer, and revolutionary is pushing boundaries and creating a real change worldwide. Like a phoenix that never accepted defeat and rose from its own ashes, she wants to challenge you to unleash your greatness and rise to greater heights. Dr. Rial N. Kunene wears many hats. As a professional certified sales manager, CEO, certified travel counselor, publisher, medical aesthetician, philanthropist, and a commissioner for oaths, following her dreams gave her purpose to see her goals through and understand that she does have everything she needs to reach her full potential. Her everyday message is that your journey to be a better person starts with you. So knowing who you are to your core will make you understand that you are the only one who can accomplish your dreams. Hebrews 11, Psalms 27 and 40 keeps her to rise to greater heights. The sky is no longer the limit. but now the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Kings and queens, please join me. Welcome, Dr. Rial N. Kunene.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, amazing speakers. So I'm like, you know, you've shared everything. You've shared all the nuggets that someone needs to hear on how actually they can just start building around their financial freedom, what they can learn, educate themselves. So I'm like, what else is left really? Like, I know we're gonna be talking about we were talking about financial literacy on Remembrance Day here in Canada, and today it's a Remembrance Day when we honor our armed force members who died like back in the line of duty in the First World War. So may their soul rest in eternal peace. But we shouldn't forget financial freedom. We shouldn't forget financial literacy. More especially, it's coming to the first year where we spend, and come January, we are not able to meet all of our needs. So I believe it's a necessity. It's just a necessary skill that you should learn on how to control your finances, really. Candy mentioned everything on credit score. Kennedy on the other side, he was like, you'll have to learn every immigrant success. You'll have to learn all the details on how to be successful as an immigrant. And then Frank, he shared about his journey through entrepreneurship. And then Mercy on the other side, she was like, you know what, you'll have to own your money, budgeting. You'll have to put it on it as a top priority in everything that you do in life. So I'm like, you know, in life, everything you want can be actually yours. You'll have to believe that I want this, I can go for it and I can achieve it. You can just envision a magical life for you, for yourself, and just make it happen because you just put your mindset on what you really want. So I'm going to be talking about mainly personal finance, because you have the ability to bring your ideal love life, your work life, spiritual life, and emotionally healthy life into your own reality. And you can start doing this. You can materialize people, experiences, and everything your heart desires. Remember, whatever is your heart's desires is also wanting you. So all you must do is just to believe on your visions, believe and follow the process. That's all you need. Good people, you really don't have to see the whole staircase in life, but you need to take the first step to get to the top. As my mentor always say, that you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to become great in life. So get started today and start educating yourself on personal finance, because the biggest difference I've realized, I've noticed about successful people and unsuccessful people, it isn't intelligence or opportunities or even resources. It's just the belief that you can make all of your goals to become a reality and just make it happen. Because some of us, we trust that if we move forward anyway, then we will figure it out. So as I sit here on Remembrance Day, I'm just thankful that I'm one of those people who never gave up on their heart's desires, on their visions, on their goals. You know, when I started my business, I was just the only person in my family to run a business. So I didn't have someone that I can just learn from, but I trusted that, you know what, I'll just figure it out anyway. So if you don't believe that it's possible to make things happen in your life, then it's gonna be hard for you to even make the progress. I don't care how big the ideas that you have about whatsoever you have in mind, nothing will work for you if you don't believe in it. And more importantly, nothing will work if you don't believe even in yourself. So believe in yourself on whatsoever step you want to take in life, because lack of confidence, lack of self-belief is not going to take you anywhere. So good people, it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call for everyone. All these amazing speakers have shared more nuggets on financial literacy. So what's holding you back? Why are you relaxed? You'll have to go confident in the direction of your dreams. You'll have to chase after success. It's a wake-up call. But when that alarm clock goes off, please don't ever hit the snooze button. Don't be like, I will wake up in the next 2 minutes. I will wake up in the next 4 minutes. You know what? Forever is a long time. Why don't you wake up, get going, and educate yourself on financial literacy? You can achieve financial freedom without knowing your starting point. So you have to know your starting point. Where do I have to start really? And looking at how much debt you have, how much savings you don't have, and how much money you need can be really, really depressing in your life. But this is a valuable step in the right direction. Perhaps the most important concept I've learned through life is, the most important I've learned through life is self-education. Self-education, this is key to life. Yes, I know the key to my life right now. I know that giving is my key to life. I don't know about anyone else. I came from always looking out for myself, but now I know the key to happiness is to give over and over without expecting anything in return. And somehow God conspires to provide for me all I want, all I need, honestly, more than I need. So I've learned that giving is also part of your financial literacy. And you may ask me how. That's a story for another day. So coming back to personal finance, I think that honestly, personal finance is a necessary skill that should be taught in schools. And you may ask me why. It's because having basic personal financial skills is one of the most important things you can do for you to live a healthy, happy, and a secure life. And your level of understanding around the fundamentals of budgeting, savings, debt, and investing will impact every part of your life. And it can mean a world of difference between prosperity as well as poverty. I know high schools, they teach us art, they teach us home economics, you name it. All these are available for sure, but how often on a day-to-day basis do you need to learn about budgeting? Do you need to learn about savings? Do you need to learn about debt? Do you need to learn about investing? My sentiments exactly. So as flight attendants always say that, put on your oxygen mask first before you assist others, before you assist anyone next to you. Because if you don't, you and the other person you're trying to help, really, you can go down. When that flight is going down, you can go down. Put on that oxygen mask first to yourself, because you'll be able to save the whole world by doing so. But if you start with the person next to you and you forget about yourself, you will definitely go down. So it's high time, because the reality is your journey to be a better person. It starts with you, not the one next to you, not your neighbors, not your spouses, not your family. It starts with you. So knowing who you are to your core will make you understand that you have everything around you to reach your full potential. So you have everything around you to learn about a personal finances. Learn about it. Don't just give up on your heart's desires. Don't give up on anything that you've put your mind into. Don't give up on those bigger goals that seems really, really big that you can't even achieve them. Don't give up on that. If you happen to forget about what you've started growing like thousands and thousands of months, weeks, hours ago, just recall this in case you can't find your way. You can have the drive within you to become what you really want in life. I want you to affirm this with me, that I can have the drive within me to become what I really want in life. So I want you to place your right hand on your chest and raise your left hand and say it after me, that I can have the drive within me to become what I really want. I don't see you doing it. I can have the drive within me. Your right hand on your chest, your left hand raised up. I can have the drive within me to become what I really want in life. You know what? Just say it one more time, as if you have faith in your own powerful voice. And guess what? It will echo throughout the whole universe. I can have the drive within me to become what I really want in life. Just give yourself a random applause. Give yourself a random applause, because you can have the drive within you to become what you really want in life. You can have the drive within you to get where you want to be in life. I know in the interest of time, I'm just going to cut my subject very short, but I want you at the end of the day to gain more from this. It's so funny when my mom and dad gave me this beautiful name, Nompumelelo. Nompumelelo, in my own language, it means mother of all success. So you can see that I am really, really challenged to chase after success. No matter what comes my way, I'll have to chase after success. So if I may ask you, how many of you have dreams and goals that you want to achieve? Maybe let me say in the next 6 months. I know myself, I am one of those people. So I want you, as you think about your dreams and goals, to put this down. Rise to greater heights. rise to greater heights, because you need to be clear about your career goals in order for you to gain guidance on professional development. So as a coach or as a mentor, my goal is so simple. My goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs and other potential obstacles that you might be experiencing in your life, and then design a plan of inspired actions to empower you to achieve specific outcomes in your life. That's my goal, and it's gonna work for you. So I just want you to encourage yourself that, you know what, it's high time. It's high time I go out there and be the change, make a difference within myself, make a difference to those who look at you as an inspiration, make a difference to those around you. But in order for you to do that, to make that difference, you've got to be hungry. You've got to be hungry like the hungry lion in the jungle, really. That hungry lion in the jungle, it doesn't matter what kind of animal comes his way. It doesn't matter if you had a giant elephant or that small squirrel by the jungle. All that hungry lion sees in front of his face is lunch. So I believe that's the lion mindset that we need in order for us to make a difference, in order for us to grow our businesses, in order for us to educate ourselves on financial literacy. That's the lion mindset. Please write this down. Write this down in conclusion. Resilience to greatness. Resilience to greatness. And I know you've heard this before, that your setback is your setup for your comeback. Your setback is your setup for your comeback. So if I can be honest with you, I don't know what goals you've set for the next 6 months, and I don't know what dreams you have for your own future. But here is one thing I know about you. You are destined for greatness. Inside of you, God has put seeds of excellence. Those seeds are supposed to grow and flourish. But many people have become crippled by their past encounters, and some have stepped over other people to get to the top. But I believe that God has a better plan for every one of us. Your objective is what you were designed for, and the reason why you live today. With God, I believe that we're all destined for greatness as long as we follow his strategy. This is when the growth commences, because discovering your gifts and following God's idea will make you understand that you have everything around you to reach to your full potential. So my everyday inspiration, Mr. Les Brown, he once said, if you had to die today, at this very moment, at this hour, what dreams, what ideas, what visions, what goals, what skills, what talents, what books, and what books will die with you? And the late Dr. Miles Monroe continued saying that the richest place on this planet is the cemetery. Because that's where all the dreams, all the visions, all the goals, all the skills, all the talents, all the books have been buried. Honestly, I don't know about you, but with me listening to all these amazing messages, it just gave me sleepless nights. And I remember it very well when I first started journaling my first book, Rise to Greater Heights, which is a comprehensive guide to turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. Yes, I can see you, my brother. You know, I didn't stop there. And if you remember it very well, in May 25th, 2020, George Floyd, he died in police custody in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This 46-year-old Black man was arrested and killed after a convenience store employee called 911 on Floyd's suspicion of passing a counterfeit $20 bill. So I believe that everyone is born free and everyone has the right to life. And that's the reason why I decided to write my book, Human Rights, because I believe that we are all equal in dignity. We are all equal in dignity. It doesn't matter where we're born or what kind of family we're born into. We are all equal in dignity. And you may have to ask yourself, what's really holding you back? What's holding you back from going confident in the direction of your dreams? Is it fear? Is it procrastination? Is it mediocrity? What's holding you back? Because you'll have to cultivate your mindset for success. Cultivate your mindset for success. I'm just sharing this like to inspire anyone, because you can always bounce back to life. Your resilience to greatness. So I believe with all these books have the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. And I also have a free transformation guide for you. It's available on my website. Thank you so much. www.risetogreaterheights.com. And with this free transformation guide, trust me, you'll be able to explore leadership, empowerment, being purpose-driven, mentorship, coaching, resilience to greatness, mental health, emotional intelligence, and many more topics, including spiritual growth. Because growing up, I didn't have much in life because my father decided to have an early departure from this planet Earth. And I thank God that I missed that flight, because I'm still here, I'm still preaching, I'm still sharing my message until like forever. So I had everything because of my mama's love. So I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you so much, Mom. So I think whosoever say that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Riel Nkunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Thank you so much, amazing speakers. And please forgive me to go above and beyond the allocated time. So at this moment, Candy, please feel free to share with the audience. Mercy, Kennedy, and Frank, please share with the audience how they can reach out to you, your final thoughts on this subject, financial literacy, as well as if you have anything to offer them, please feel free to share again with them. Any books, any of your events, share at this moment before we wrap up. So Candy, you can go ahead.
Sure. I would just say as a last minute idea is, sometimes the finance can be overwhelming. So if you don't feel that you can handle this on your own, feel free to reach out to, somebody who can assist you. It's not anything to be ashamed of if you don't think that you can do it on your own. My company website again is www.abandp.com, abandp.com. And again, my free resource is a guide to financial lingo and understanding the difference between profit and cash flow. And you can get that at affordablebookkeepingandpayroll.com/free-report.
Thank you, Candy. I believe our audience will reach out to you. You can go ahead, Kennedy, and share with the audience, please.
Yeah, it's been a great time chatting. I learned a lot, and I want to appreciate all the audience that are watching now, and maybe people that will watch the replay. It's been an amazing time getting these different perspectives, and the overall goal is for success to happen. So I really appreciate everybody here. If I would share one thing, I would simply say you don't know what you don't know. And it's by learning, it's by improving that we become better. So seek knowledge. Remember, the truth shall set you free. If you don't find yourself free in any aspect in life, there is some truth you need to learn. And that's just it. And that's why I teach what I teach. I keep looking for the truth in all aspects of life and trying to pass it on to people. My name is Kennedy Gates. It's the same name here. It's the same name on Facebook. It's the same name on Instagram. It's the same name on TikTok. I heard somebody say that TikTok, so I'm gonna go look for her. I'm sure I will see some funny videos. So yeah, feel free to follow me, and then I will be glad to interact with all of you and see how we can collaborate and help humanity better. So thank you very much for being here today. I'm so proud of this.
Thank you, Kennedy, for sure. Our audience has to go out there and reach out to you. Thank you. You can go ahead, Frank, and share with the audience, please.
Thank you very much. It's really an honor for me to be here. As I say that I just arrived literally a day ago, so I'm still a little bit jet lagged because of the time difference and all that. Thank you very much. That was really, I learned a lot. I'm gonna really go and back you on your websites and, really, I learned a lot. Yeah, as the one thing that I can really say or add is to say really success is reserved for people that work. Wow. You cannot just wake up in the morning and say, wow, what just happened? It's not possible. You have to work. It's reserved for those people. Then how do we get it? Most of it, we spoke about it here, network, speak to people, and many more. How do you find me? Just written this book. It's called Anointed for Entrepreneurship. I'd say a few weeks ago, it's available now on Amazon. You just search Frank Makongwenya, Anointed for Entrepreneurship. That's where most of my story of entrepreneurship is at. It's the first edition. I believe I've got in me more books coming, as I see things on earth. So how do you, online, you can find me. We just launched a website here for Canada, Fradu Cafe, Fradu Cafe, South African barbecue.ca. On that, you'll see the other website that we have for all our groups. So if you happen to be in Calgary, you want to come to our launch, we've got over 200 reservations already. We don't know what we're going to do with those people on the event because we have to hire more staff. But if you want to come and be part of the opening of our store or restaurant, you can go to the website and reserve your seat. And my Facebook page is Frank Marco, same name, Frank Marco. Marco is a short name of Makosana. That's Zulu name of Makosana, a little king, you know, in English. So for now, I'm on Facebook. My team is working on the other platforms going forward. We've been so busy, such a way that we didn't really find time to now we've got time to be able to do that. So that's where you can find me. And thank you very much for having me, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Frank. I believe our audience will reach out to you for sure and make those reservations. You can go ahead, Mercy, and share with the audience, please.
So financial literacy is hugely important. And the only way you're going to learn it is to connect with it, whether it's my book, which of course I think is the best book out there. But if you look at my book, it doesn't speak to you, find the book that does. Find the professionals that you can work with, that you can trust, that you can learn from, talk to your friends, find a mentor, get educated. And if you have a story to share, I love to hear stories because I include them in my books when I help to educate people. Stories are a great way to learn. If you have questions, I would love to hear them. I might use them in a TikTok. I might use them in a blog post. They might come into my book. Who knows? But I would love to hear what you feel you're missing, what you'd like to learn. You can reach me. I've got my website listed. My email is marcy@moneymarcy.com. I've got a Money Marcy group on Facebook. As I said, I TikTok. I'm all over the internet. Hashtag Money Marcy. You'll find me. And I look forward to hearing from you. I was thrilled to be here and participate in this today. You guys are awesome, and I'm just so flattered to be in such a tremendous group of people.
Oh wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mercy. I believe TikTok is huge on you. So it's like I'm missing out now. Everyone is TikToking. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, amazing speakers. I'm not going to keep you like forever. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for gracing us with your wisdom, with your knowledge. I believe our audience from all these amazing messages, really, they've been inspired, they've been motivated, and they're ready to rise to greater heights. So kudos to you, our amazing speakers. And to our audience online, thank you so much for joining us here at Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. I hope from all these amazing messages, from all these amazing speakers, you've been inspired, you've been motivated, and you are ready to rise to greater heights. So do join us next week at the same time, same place. Thank you. Merci. Siyabonga.
Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All they wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All they wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let I be me instead of playing games. For chasing fame, let somebody spread the lack of flames. No,
living my life to the fullest and shout out my halala to the fullest. Let my lungs out. I'm still rising up to greater heights as long